How can we put customer lifetime value into practice without it being just another KPI? To answer this question, I'm sitting down today with Danijel. Hi, Danijel. So you developed the CLV product, and we are also going to talk about CLV in general. So please introduce yourself briefly to us.
Yeah, hi, Toni. Thank you for having me. So I'm Danijel. I work as a senior specialist business design. In business design, we shape data-driven products and services, always at the intersection between business feasibility, technological feasibility, and customer needs. So for example, when we develop products like the customer lifetime value, we not only look at the calculation, but we also ask ourselves, how can it be integrated into internal systems? How can it support decision making? And how can people really use it in their daily work?
So to start, can you again explain customer lifetime value a bit to me, and also why is it so important in your opinion to companies?
Sure. So the customer lifetime value is basically a financial metric which depicts the total value a customer brings to a company over the duration of his or her relationship with the company. And it matters for companies because it helps companies to shift from a short-term sales focus to a long-term customer orientation with the aim to increase customer loyalty. And we all know, and studies show this, that this is better for companies in the long term.
So it's also deeply connected to sustainability, since it's focusing on the long-term relationship?
Definitely, because focusing on CLV, it's often a strategic imperative for companies to be more organic in their growth initiatives and to differentiate their marketing and service approaches based on the real value of its customers.
Okay, Danijel, let's talk a bit about your CLV product. When you had the initial idea, what market need did you see?
So we first have seen in practice that many companies use the CLV as a strategic imperative when they want to become more customer-oriented or when they start to doing direct-to-consumer sales. But only very few companies actually measure it or have the KPI as an actionable tool, so they could see, for example, how it develops over time. And so we asked ourselves, what's the reason for this? And then we have seen many different reasons why companies struggle to implement it, and we wanted to resolve these issues and to really provide a tangible, actionable tool which is easy to implement.
And which role did user interviews play in your creative development process?
It played a big role. So we did in our whole process a huge market research with over a dozen country CLV marketing managers all over Europe. And the input of these interview partners was crucial for us in the development of the CLV product because, as I said initially, we did not want to focus on the calculation, but we wanted to focus on how people can use it and how it can help people in the decision making. And therefore the input for us was very, very important.
Yeah, and you developed the product somehow in the, I would say, frame of our internal idea incubator, the Data Product Factory. What was it like for you to build it in this?
So I must say we have this internal incubator, the Data Product Factory, and I enjoyed this process a lot because it's a classical design thinking process where we start on a white piece of paper and at the end we have like a final POC. And me as a business designer, I learned a lot in this process. And also in the interdisciplinary work. So we had like service designers, legal engineers, data scientists, and we all brought our expertise to the table. And I think this also profited the product development at the end.
Yeah, cool. So one last question. Which next steps you would like to take with your product?
Yeah, so at the moment, our CLV product is a tool for individual teams, basically for marketing, service, and customer experience teams. But our long-term vision is to expand the CLV to be a company-wide steering tool. And this would mean for us, for example, to develop more predictive use cases, to integrate the CLV product into even more enterprise systems, and to also connect the metric to shareholder value, because studies show that CLV has an effect on shareholder value. And for strategy making, it would be great to have like a predictor for future revenue. But these are things we are still working on and exploring the data and our AI models, and let's see where this will go.
Yeah, let's see. Sounds super exciting to me, and thanks for sharing all these insights with us. Yeah, thanks, Danijel.
Cool. Thanks for having me here.